to this Hangout on Hair is now live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Bryan Moore Mark II. Sorry, I shouldn't be silly.
No,
anyway.
You should. I apologize to everyone. I am the captain of the Hindenburg when it comes to anything with more than one button. I am so sorry.
No, it's quite all right, Brian. It's fine. I could have realized that, and then it's fine. But let's not worry about that. That is in the past. We'll move on now.
You are the quintessential English gentleman for leaving me with my dignity, Mr. Bermudez. Thank you.
Right, and I may be eating toast during this, which I wouldn't normally do, but I'm suddenly starving. So I've had dinner already. So anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're not here to talk about toast and Marmite. We're here to talk about, again, congratulations on 100% funding on Kickstarter. And just for those people who may not be familiar with Kickstarter, perhaps you could explain the significance of reaching 100% on Kickstarter.
The neat thing about Kickstarter, it gives artists like you and me, whether we make our films or want to publish a book or make a CD with our music, a lot of avenues are closed financially, so Kickstarter certainly allows us to tap into the fan base that we want to reach. For instance, the fourth Kickstarter I just ran was for the Cool Air DVD. It's for a Lovecraft film that I made, oh God, in 1999, but I wanted to get it to a larger audience and put it out on DVD and Blu-ray. Well, I could call up different places like Shout Factory or Lionsgate, and they're going to tell me no, because it's not, they've got to make sure they're going to make money on it. So what I do is lower the budget and think, all right, what's the minimum we can do this for? And then we run a crowdfunding, and we go right to the Lovecraft fans, and amazingly, hello, Craig. Craig's here.
So this is going live at the moment.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh.
Just so you're...
Hi, Craig. Hey, buddy. I am so sorry. I am technologically challenged, and that's a nice way to put it.
Craig can't hear you because I've got my earphone in. I can hear you fine. But just for the folks at home, yeah. Sorry, you carry on. You carry on talking. And the significance of 100% funding is...
I'm lucky. The good thing is, the great thing with social media is you can find, for instance, on Facebook's lots of, here's let's drink to a toast. Dad jokes, yeah. Man, I'm sorry. Anyway.
I'm eating toast, folks, sorry.
Exactly. We reached out to all the Lovecraft fans, and the neat thing about the Lovecraft fans, is they all get along. They all want to rally around, whether you're doing music, a story, a short film, a film festival, a t-shirt. Everyone just joins in the fun. No weirdness, no fan rivalries. It's a great fan base. And I think I ran a shorter campaign. I didn't go the full 30 days. I think I went 21 days, which we've still got 5 days left. And we hit our goal in about 2 weeks. But again, the thing is, when you're running a Kickstarter, most people who haven't run one don't realize it is a full-time job being a salesman. You are on social media, well, I know I am, 12 to 18 hours a day. It really is a full-time job. And if you don't put in those hours, posting everywhere on social media and hoping you're not posting too much, but asking your friends to share it, that's what it takes to fund. Because what I found, the Kickstarter dynamic has changed so much in the last few years. When I first started doing this 4 years ago for the Lovecraft bust that we put in the Providence Athenaeum, it was very easy to make a Facebook page and you would get people to like it, and word of mouth did it. Nowadays, there are so many crowdfunding campaigns via Kickstarter, GoFundMe, and Indiegogo that the fan base that would throw their dollars and their pounds and their shillings at your project are far more discriminating now, because there's just, the market's glutted. So if you do decide that you're going to run a campaign, it's got to be something really special, and word of mouth doesn't do it. You've got to do paid Facebook ads. You've got to get your friends who run horror sites like you and I, to sort of, raise the flag to let everyone know the project's going on. in addition to that, it's just it's nonstop promotion. It really is. I often liken it to being a carnival barker on the Midway in the 40s, where your job is to get that crowd off the Midway into the tent, take the dime out of their pocket and put it into yours. You got to talk them into it. You can't just say, I'm making a Lovecraft film. They're going to look at you and say, yeah, so what? You've got to convince them all the reasons that they should help you make the film or put it out on DVD. It's a lot of creators don't realize that. Many friends ask me, they say, hey, you do really well with your Kickstarters. Well, out of 4 campaigns, 3 funded, 1 didn't. And they say, what's your secret to success? And all I can say is work your tail off. That's all it is. You've just got to commit to being a one-man or one-woman sales team 24 hours a day. Fortunately for me, I work with good project teams who help me. Reber Clark cuts together some great promo videos and some terrific music every time. Our friend, Graham Humphreys, the British poster artist, he's, oh my God, I can't imagine doing a project without Graham. His poster art that he does is so good. My fear every time is, I hope what I'm doing lives up to what Graham has done. He really does put such a great public face on everything that he does. Movies that you think are grade Z, if they get a Graham Humphreys poster, all of a sudden they're elevated to something a lot better than they really are. That's Graham's talent. Also, I got lucky on this. Brian and Gwen Callahan, who run the H.P. Lovecraft Films Festival in the U.S., they also run Psycho. It's a t-shirt company, a graphics company. They came on as the DVD producers. What I do is I give them all the elements. The Cool Air film, I'll give them the duochrome edition, which is a color-tinted version. I'll give them the new behind-the-scenes interviews. They take all the elements and they do all the authoring, the layout. They go to a replication house because they've done this before. Basically, they're the smart ones. I'm not. So I hand everything to them. They get it done, and a month later, I've got 1,000 DVDs sitting in my office that I start sending out. So that's how a Kickstarter campaign works, or that's how this one works. So
right.
There you go.
And I think just the point I was trying to make was the fact that hitting 100% means you actually get the money. Up until that point,
yeah,
if on the last day you don't have, the last minute, in fact, you don't have 100%. Then even if you've got 99%, you get nothing. So
it's very scary because when you start out, I didn't mean to cut you off. The good thing I like about Kickstarter is it really separates the children from the adults. How committed are you? Are you willing to gamble? Because you're right. If you're 1 penny short, you don't get the money. The neat thing about GoFundMe and Indiegogo is, but the sense of urgency that you've got to hit your goal just isn't there. Case in point, we ran the Bram Stoker Bronze Bust project as a Kickstarter. The reason I did that, I was comfortable with it. I think a lot of people are comfortable in funding Kickstarters. I think for the most part, creators usually deliver. It's very few that some people haven't. Anyway, I think out of our $30,000 goal for the Bram Stoker bust, we didn't even hit 10,000. And it was very discouraging because I put the same amount of work into that as I do all my projects. The entire project team did. So afterwards, I thought, God, I'm just used up. I mean, it really is months and months of planning and creating a marketing strategy. You've got to think like a businessman and less like an artist. Anyway, other folks said, well, why don't you try GoFundMe? Because you get to keep everything that you raised. And I did that. And we raised about the same. I think it was just under $10,000, which isn't enough, but it made me feel good in the sense that knowing that there is an audience for a bust of Bram Stoker in Dublin, Ireland. It's just not the same audience as, say, an audience getting behind a Lovecraft project or a Hellraiser project, where it's just the fan base is just so dedicated. It's you learn a lot in the different dynamics and what will sell. If it's pop culture, it'll sell. If it's a little more literary, I'm learning that the literary crowd, they like collecting first editions. A bust, not so much. It happens.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting as well. As you say, looking at the things that are very popular on Kickstarter is a lot to do with gaming. There's a site for anyone who's interested in Kickstarter called Kick Track, spelt with a Q at the end, where you can
Yep.
actually see where they monitor Kickstarter, because Kickstarter campaigns don't go away. Even if they're not funded, they're there for purpose. You can see all the history of all the Kickstarter campaigns anyone's ever done. And if you've supported the campaign, you get to see all the comments. But Kick Track shows, funnily enough, what you were showing. This is why I changed my mind about my campaign, which I'm starting on April the 3rd. Originally I was going to go for 30 days because I thought, well, then, you know, I've got more time to get money, but the advice was no, go shorter. So in fact, it's going to end on the 19th of April, because
Wow.
because basically you've got more pressure. People hopefully will respond to that as well. And basically, the money comes in kind of at the beginning and at the end. You have that kind of inverted bell curve.
Yeah.
And so,
And what's interesting about that, Nicholas, is you're absolutely right. Kick Track with the Q. I was looking at that. There's also another one that I can't recall the name. It's a Kickstarter. Will it fund? And for the first week and a half, I'd look this Cool Air DVD project and it said, will not fund. And after a while, I started getting really discouraged. I thought, well, sod that. Screw them. I am going to fund. You don't tell me this isn't going to work. I tell me if it's going to work or not. So I stopped looking at it. But you're right. What's interesting is a few years ago, a 30-day campaign was the norm. Everyone did it. But now you and your friend saying, no, do it less. For less time, I found out it works. My friends Bryan and Gwen Callahan, the video DVD producers for this, they just ran a Kickstarter for a Cthulhu t-shirt. They ran it for 7 days. And when Bryan told me that, I thought, dude, you're nuts. You're not going to make any money. He quadrupled his goal. His goal was $2,000. He made, I think it was around over 9. The figure's escaping me, but he did a lot. But he started saying, yeah, people's attention spans get shorter and shorter. We live in an app culture. People want it now. They want to press a button and they want it right then and there. And what I'm finding is they don't want to wait 30 days or longer to get the rewards level. The sooner the better. So you and your friend are right. I think a shorter campaign is definitely, I see the trend going that way.
Yeah. It's interesting because, and I think I mean, I'm going to be doing some, because this is my first one, I'm kind of going to extend it. I'm going to really start promoting
Proud of you. Thank you. So proud of you. You can do it.
I'm sure I can do it. It's still terrifying. And it is.
It never stops being scary.
No, absolutely not. So I'm actually going to, start releasing some stuff in the next week. In fact, on Friday. Sorry, 5 days before. I was going to go for 10 days before, but I think you're right. So 5 days before, I'm going to start doing a countdown. I'll start letting people know what rewards they can get the following Monday. So I think 5 days before, just to start build so that people are aware of it and they can start thinking, oh, okay, so if I put a pin on Monday, then I can do something. Then I will be able to get it.
And you were nice enough to share the preview page with me, and I won't give anything away, but I think you're going to please both factions of your fans. The Hellraiser fans, they're in for treats. They do not want to miss your campaign. But the neat thing is, the Nicholas Berman Vince fans, you're creating an original work or more. But it's really, really cool. I think everyone who comes to your campaign is going to be pleasantly surprised and seeing something they don't expect, but there's a lot that will deliver the goods that they have come to expect.
Right.
So no doubt you'll fund. I mean, you and I spoke about this before. The great thing about when you're launching now is I know in the US, the dead time, the worst time to launch a campaign that we found out on the Bram Stoker project is in between Thanksgiving, which is late November, and tax time, when people get their tax returns. People aren't spending money because they're getting through the holidays. Sometimes it's the winter and they're not working. They've been made redundant or they're unemployed. Or for whatever reason, people are just getting through winter. So once, like now, March, April, I know in the film business again, same deal. Everyone goes into hiatus and nobody's working. So I've found that too. But I think you're launching at a really good time. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I mean, it runs across Easter, so hopefully people are going to be. And the interesting thing again was that I learned out is that most, certainly their experience was that most contributions come via mobile rather than sitting at your computer. Most people, and it's nothing to do with millennials. In fact, we know now, most internet traffic, I think it's now approaching 60% of internet traffic is on mobile. It's on, it's totally changed. So I'm really looking at the Kickstarter app. And one of the things I've noticed about the Kickstarter app is that if you look at some campaigns on the desktop, you see these beautiful emboldened section heads. That's great. But if you look at the same campaign on the mobile, all those disappear. So what you've got are just basically long streams of text and then possibly a photograph or a video or something like that. So again, I want to make sure that I've got little bits of artwork that just will break it up and really think about, okay, this looks great on a web page, but actually, you know what? It's got to look good on a mobile phone, because that's where, and I think that's one of the reasons yours works so well, is because you got a couple of really nice Graham Humphreys posters that we've just talked about. Yeah, I think, you know, that really adds a quality to the, keep it up there, Bryan. Yeah. Now this is actually for your next one. This is not for Cool Air. This is for your next one.
The next one.
The next.
Oh, actually, I want to address something that you just brought up, but I didn't mean to cut you off about people looking at their desktop versus, you know, their iPhones. I'm in my mid-50s. I just got this last year because my daughter made me. She says, "You're a caveman. You're 10 years behind the times," and clearly how I screwed up the Google Hangout. I am not a technological guy. She's in her early 20s, and you're absolutely right. Most of the time when I'm online, I'll be here at my desk during office hours because it's just what I do. But you're right, a lot of people are looking at these campaigns on their phones. Case in point, one fellow actually wrote in and said, "Hey, via the Kickstarter," he said, "Congratulations on hitting your funding goal, but I don't see a Blu-ray. I see that this is funding a DVD, but you've got pictures of the Blu-ray. I want a Blu-ray, not a DVD." And I said, "Well, it's on the campaign. If you just scroll down through the pictures, it's part of the text." And he says, "I can't see it." And I thought, "Oh my God, did I not put it in there?" And I looked on my desktop and I said, "Well, I see it." He goes, "Oh, I'm on my iPhone." And you're right, things show up differently. So I think you're absolutely right. If you make it iPhone friendly, that everything does show up, that's where a lot of the donors wind up too.
Yeah,
you know, absolutely. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, this really is the age of mobile. You know, that's what the things are. Okay, so so again, congratulations on that. So what you mentioned,
thank you.
So you've got 100%, so you're going to get funding. You're now talking about stretch goals. What is the stretch? What are the stretch goal or goals?
Righto. Well, thankfully, you know, all the Lovecraft fans rallied around. Our funding goal was US dollars, $12,500. Last time I checked, we're a little above that. That pays for the DVD, the posters, rewards levels, postcards, signed scripts, postage. A lot of people say, "Why is postage so much?" Because that stuff isn't free. When you buy bubble wrap envelopes, you've got to buy hundreds and have UPS, it's the shipping company here in the States, deliver that. It adds up. A lot of people, they see a high number that you've got on the Kickstarter and they think, "Wow, you're rolling in dough, you're making money." I'm like, I'm really not. It pays for the project, and if there's a few extra dollars, and that's great. That goes in your pocket, but these projects cost money anyway. The stretch goal to create the Blu-ray DVD, which is much more expensive than the regular DVD, is $17,000. So we've got to raise another $4,500 to be able to do the Blu-ray release. That's the stretch goal. Once we hit that, I'll be releasing a lot more good stuff. The one sheets for Shadow over Innsmouth. There's a few extra surprises, things that are still available, and I feel like a yard sale. This is from Cool Air. This is the original prop of Rosa, one of the original parts in the story that wasn't in the Lovecraft tale. Dr. Munoz is this old doctor who lives in this freezing cold room. And I thought there's got to be something more interesting than just making a two-dimensional cutout of old spooky guy in creepy apartment upstairs. So I gave him a little backstory where he starts talking about someone that he's lost. I found this in a thrift store. 20 years ago. I don't know who it is, but this is the photograph that I used for the film. So there's that. Other things like this is in the apartment building when the character played by me, which is shocking. Last time I watched the movie, I'm like, I don't look like that anymore. I'm getting old, man. So, but this is the hand-painted sign. And one more prop, and I just brought this on my desk. These are the actual vintage spectacles, if I can open it, that Dr. Munoz wears, my friend actor Jack Donner. So if you like those, there's original props. Those rewards levels are still there. So there's lots of good stuff to get if you help us hit the stretch goal for the Blu-ray. It sounds like you wanted to talk about the Shadow over Innsmouth.
Yes, I thought that having done this one, and I think you've mentioned this in the past, Shadow over Innsmouth, and you've certainly shown the poster on the campaign. So this, I presume, is the next project once all this one's out the way.
Exactly. The whole point of doing the DVD of Cool Air is to help build the brand. And I hate to sound so corporate, but that really what it is these days. If you're making a comic book series or a series of short films or your persona that you're selling, it's all about establishing a brand, that's recognizable. What I wanted to do with Arkham Cinema is re-release Cool Air on DVD and all the swag that goes with it, postcards, posters, anything you can slap a logo on. It's about selling. The Shadow over Innsmouth has been in development for a while now, a few years. For a while it had a financier. That relationship ended. Sometimes it happens. People that come together, they have an idea, they'd like to do something, and for whatever reason it just doesn't work out. The way I saw the project, the vision I had, is to do period faithful adaptations of Lovecraft stories. And to a lot of people that sounds like an hour and a half of narration, sour-faced guy in a high collar in Arkham. Well, you can do a whole lot more than that. And what I'm trying to do with Shadow over Innsmouth is the script has been done. It is a faithful period adaptation, but there's more emphasis on what Lovecraft termed atmosphere rather than action. There are very action-packed sequences in it. If you're familiar with the story, the escape from the Gilman House Hotel, where the narrator is running out of town chased by these fish creatures. That's not a spoiler. That's just a famous part of the story. There's also other things that I'm trying to put in, like the Federal Raid. We're talking guys with Thompson submachine guns shooting up a town. It's very violent, very bloody and gory. But there's also a certain element of tragedy that I like to bring to the Lovecraft stories. In Cool Air, the tragedy was certainly Dr. Munoz's backstory. In Shadow over Innsmouth, it is ultimately what happens at the end of the story. So folks will have to read that if they want to know what happens. Another thing too, I'm going a little off on a tangent, but one of my favorite films is Jaws, for the obvious reasons that we all love Jaws. It's fun. But the strongest moment in that film is Quint's monologue, where he's talking about when he was in the Navy in World War II and the ship goes down and the sharks come and they tear to pieces most of the sailors who went down. And I tried to do that in Cool Air, where it is the story, but the monologue where the doctor is telling his backstory about someone that he's lost. The actor Jack Donner, I mean, he's really crying. It's a very emotional moment. And when people write to me about it, they think, oh my God, when the doctor cries and he's talking about loss and how we just can't reclaim what we wish still existed, that it was so moving. And that's a compliment. You try and bring something a little bit more than what Lovecraft did to the table. Obviously, you're selling papers on Lovecraft's Corner, something of yourself. As an actor, you know that when you're just phoning in a performance versus when you're playing it from the heart, and that's what I'm trying to do with Arkham Cinema and the Shadow over Innsmouth. I hope.
Right. That sounds like a much more expensive. Sorry, let me just bring myself back up here. So that sounds like a much more expensive proposition. Have you got a budget? And I presume, is this going to be a feature film you're talking about here?
It will be a feature film. The budget is, what did James Cameron say about when you're a filmmaker, you put your friends in front of a camera, you shoot a scene, you stick your name on there as a director, now you're a film director. Everything after that is negotiating your budget. So right now it's there's 3 tiers that I'm trying to do. One is a lower budget film, one is a mid budget, and one is the sky's the limit. I'll probably hit somewhere under $1 million. That's what it's looking like. I'm talking. He's said that I could use his name before, so I'm assuming it's all right. Talking to Joel Harlow. He's a special makeup effects artist in Los Angeles, and he's won an Oscar for his work in the Star Trek film of 2009. He was also just nominated for the one that came out last year. Nice guy, and wow, what a big Lovecraft fan he is. So he and I have been talking about working together on this, and he's been sculpting these fish monsters long before he and I started talking. So it's nice when you kind of meet a fellow Lovecraft fan who wants to be a part of the fun. And for me, it's very flattering because Joel is very much an A-list sort of guy. He's Johnny Depp's personal makeup artist. He's got his own shop. I think he just did the Logan film. I think he's on Black Panther now. He works, and just sweetest guy you can imagine. So it's that's the thing with trying to get a film off the ground, man. It's step up to the plate and swing and hope you don't get struck out, and with little luck you'll knock it out of the park. So I think that's what it's like trying to get a budget for a film going and trying to coordinate everything. So it's tough, you know.
Sorry, sorry. I was just double checking because I noticed that we do actually have 3 people watching at the moment. I knew somebody would find us.
Hello,
hi folks. And I just wanted to check, just acknowledge that they are there, and if anybody is making any comments, they're not. That's absolutely fine. But yeah, just so that we
got 3 people there.
which for a secret hangout I thought was pretty cool.
I think so.
That's good. Cool. All right. So you've got the 100%. You're now looking for your. What you've mentioned, and you've spoken very eloquently about what you think it takes to get a Kickstarter and so on. What do you think are the key aspects of a successful Kickstarter? What do you think really? So for anybody else who's contemplating it, and I know we've spoken at length privately. You gave me a lot of your time to give me some advice, but any pearls of wisdom for anybody out there who's thinking, you know what, I've got this burning idea for a film that I've always wanted to make. Well, I'm going to need a little bit of money in order to do it, because frankly it takes a lot of people to make a movie. I know you can do it on iPhones, I can know you do it, but you're still, unless you're doing clay animation in your bedroom with an iPhone, and hey, I've seen some really good ones of those. Mostly you're going to have to be working with other people, and you're going to be taking their time, and if it's your mates, etc., you should at least feed them, ideally give them expenses and so on. It's an expensive business making films. So for anybody who's now contemplating being inspired by your story, what will you say are the key things to think about? What have you got to think about when you're doing Kickstarter?
A few things absolutely come to mind. Don't be afraid of change. I don't like change personally. I don't like moving. I don't like going through different relationships. I like things being settled, so I know what to expect. With Kickstarter and crowdfunding, it has changed so dramatically since I started doing it a few days ago. So when you're doing something that's worked before and it's not working again, don't be afraid to try something new. That was something I had to get over. Another one is don't be afraid to ask people for money. If that's your intent, and if that's why you're approaching someone because you want to ask them for money, don't be afraid to say, I need money. Can you help me get this done? I used to think, oh God, you can't do that. It's rude. That's no manners. Nice people don't do that. Yes, they do. Because the money's out there. It really is. You've just got to stop being afraid of thinking people will think badly of you if you have your hand out. If you say, I'd like you to give me $100, but here's what I'm trying to do, and here's why I need your help. And if they say, well, let's take a look, and if they see a well-produced pitch video that is in focus, people can hear, you speak intelligently, you've got graphics that show you're already working on the project and you're going to continue working on the project whether they're a part of it or not. that gives you the credibility to ask them for money to help you get that project done. And usually people will respond. I've rarely had people say, no, I don't want to give you any money. Usually it's, you know what? I don't have $100 to give you, but I like what you're doing. Here's 50. I don't have any money, but I'll share your post. That works too. The other is, you hit it on the head. You can't do everything alone. This is why I don't. This is why every single time I launch a Kickstarter, I've got a project team. And be nice to your project team. Pay them. Even if you can't pay them now, pay them on the back end. You know, it's I'm so lucky that I've got people that I work with over and over who are willing to, you know, for instance, Graham Humphreys. If I say, hey, Graham, I'd really like to do this Cool Air DVD, but I need new poster art. Can you help me out? Well, Graham is a saint on earth, and he's like, you know what? You've never burned me. I'll help you out. And, you know, I just make sure that, you know, he is paid like everyone has to be. Other things, let's see, keep your word. If you make a Kickstarter and you take in a lot of money from a lot of different people that you don't know, and you say the rewards levels will be sent out in 6 months, do it. I had an online business for a while, and I went through a breakup, and it really stopped my ability for order fulfillment fast, and I fell behind. And that hurt my reputation, and rightfully it should, because if someone sends you money through the mail and they don't know you, send them what they pay for. So same with the Kickstarter. You know, just give people what they pay for, and usually they'll come back to help you the next time you launch a Kickstarter. So credibility really is everything. It's very much an earned sort of thing. So I think as long as you come off credible, finish what you start, finish the project, even if it's lousy, you can say, hey, I did the best with what I could, with what I had to work with. No one can fault you. So yeah, that would be the things that I can think of. Oh, another thing, never give up. You will want to give up dozens of times every day because you saw something someone said on the internet that was mean about you, or no one donated that day, or you've got the landlord knocking at your back door saying, where's the money you owe me? And you're like, what am I doing? Going through all this torture if I just had a regular job working at the gas station and my life was simple. Well, it goes to be an artist, so you got to take the curveballs that are thrown your way too, and it's the hardest thing to not give up. But if you've got a good support system of friends who are willing to be your cheerleader and say, you know what you're doing is hard, but it's not impossible. It is an exercise in dodging bullets when people at you. And everything in life, there are plenty of speed bumps, but nothing's a roadblock unless you let it be. So just keep going over the speed bumps. You can get through it. Winston Churchill had a great saying, when you're going through hell, keep going. And it's true. God bless the English bulldog.
Really, you know,
he was right.
Yeah, you know, the people you hear about, the successful people, are basically the ones who just simply didn't stop. And that's, you know, that is so much. You just keep on going.
You have to. One more quote I'll throw out there is Eleanor Roosevelt from the same era, that greatest generation. And I'm paraphrasing, something to the effect of, nobody can make you feel inferior unless you give them permission. And it's the easiest thing in the world to get discouraged, and you think you're doing everything wrong, and how come everyone else I see online is doing everything right, and why don't I know the magic secret to the success that they do? Well, you know what? They don't know it either. The more you talk to your friends who are the same age, trying to do the same thing, they're all in the same boat, paddling up that creek with a question mark over their head saying, I think this is the right thing to do. I don't know any other thing to do, because life doesn't give you a rule book. So you just keep going, and that's all it is. I mean, that's, once I started getting over the notion that everyone else knew something that I didn't, then I felt better about myself and the path I chose, thinking, okay, well, and more may not work for Nicholas Berman Vince, or, you know, whoever else is doing it, but all we can do is just what feels right in our gut. And, you know, like Winston said, keep going, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I just before we close this down, I just wanted to share with you, one of our viewers is Michael, who says, just dawned on me, I know Bryan from Garage Kits, amazing sculptor.
There are plenty of garage kits. Wow, tell Michael hi and thank you. Yes, Bryan Moore has been around that long. Garage kits were something, it was before toys became a big deal. You would literally sculpt figures like these, make molds, and make resin parts in your garage. And you'd put them in a Ziploc baggie and take them to the hobby store. And yeah, it was very much a grassroots thing. Wow, thanks for remembering, Michael. That's so cool.
Bryan, thank you. Well, I'm so glad we managed to get this sorted out, because I knew this was going to be an interesting conversation. And this will be online, folks. I will do a podcast of it tomorrow, so we can share with folks. Bryan, thank you so very much indeed for overcoming the technical difficulties. As you say, just never give in, never surrender. He says, quoting Galaxy Quest.
Which is awesome. But hey, thanks for having me, and I apologize for my long-winded responses, because I know there are. Everyone's like, oh, Bryan Moore. That guy never shuts up. Well, there it is.
It makes my life easier. I don't have to prompt people. That just makes my life a lot easier.
Right on.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Chattering with Nicholas Vince. I've been talking with Bryan Moore about his latest Kickstarter, which got 100% funded today. This is for the Cool Air DVD. Please like, share, subscribe. There is still 5 more days to go on his campaign. Oh, and actually, I should also say thanks to everybody who subscribed. This is to the YouTube channel. I suddenly realized I'm up to 545 subscribers. Well, we hit 500 just before Christmas. So that is really showing, that this is reaching a much larger audience, which I'm really pleased and grateful about. Thank you very much indeed. There will be a newsletter. I am actually writing it today. I should not go back to writing it again. That's going out tomorrow. Just kind of let everybody know about the Kickstarter, etc., and the other cool stuff that's going on. Bryan, thank you very much indeed. I'd like to say goodbye.
My love to you and Craig and Bertie, brother. Appreciate you having me. Thank you for bearing with my fumbling attempts to pretend I know what I'm doing.
That's all right. As you say, none of us know what we're doing. Cool. All right then, folks. I shall be back on April the 2nd with LC Holt talking about the film Spiriters. Have a great weekend and week in the meantime.